talks about the expressing the emotions that can sometimes be frustrating, especially when you're also trying to maintain a spiritual balance. And so it's okay sometimes to be up, and it's okay sometimes to be down. It is acceptable to shout for joy. It is also acceptable to cry when you're in pain. It's also the ideal of, have you ever been felt abandoned by God? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt joy and you felt sorrow? You were in peace or you were in pain. You will find the feelings reflected in the Psalms. David is the writer of the majority of the Psalms. So he's connected to more than 73 different Psalms. There are other writers as well that are listed. He said, why was it written? The Psalms were they intended to be used as solitary singing or meditation. Everyone wasn't meant to be sang in public. Simply talking about the ideal of the values of spiritual encouragement that become apparent as we collect and we go through the life of worship and prayer and instruction from God about God. What to look for. The poetry, not necessarily always doctrinal essays. The psalmists frequently were interested in something that felt more than what it meant. Think about the Psalms as entries in a diary that reflect the people's most intimate encounters with God. Watch for figures of speech, exaggeration, repetition, and poetic language. Simply talking about the body of this word. You think about the 113th number Psalm, 113 through 118. If you look at the Passover season, you'll find that these were the Psalms that they sang during the Passover season. 113 and 114 traditionally sang before and at the beginning, and most assuredly the rest of them at the end. If you read through this series, you'll find, if you do some research, that Jesus and the disciples themselves, they sang these very songs while they were there at Passover. Especially the 18th number song. That's a sermon for another day. I let Pastor get that one to you. It's a show enough good word. And so to know that even Jesus Christ himself sang these very songs and understood the words and understood the meaning of these songs, we have to have reverence for that. Simply understanding that in this life, sometimes we have a perspective problem when we're talking about how we view God, how we respect God, how we see God, how we praise him, and how we reverence him. 113 number songs is a song of praise. It's a song of worship. It's a song of remembrance. See, the truth of the matter is they sang that song because they thought back home when they were enslaved. They thought about what they went through when they were back over in Egypt. They remember what was going on before. Perspective sometimes can be a challenge for us. There's a story about 3 blind men who encountered an elephant for the very first time. One simply grabbed the tail and said that the elephant is like a rope. Another grabbed the leg and said that the elephant is like a tree trunk. The third one grabbed the ear and said the elephant is like a great fan. They were all touching the same elephant, but the angles shaped their conclusion. The truth of the matter is we all are looking at the same God. But because of our perspectives in life that time, we can see him in a different way than somebody else. In some realities, that can lead to confusion. And in some spaces, it can lead to conclusion. See, it's the same God. You just see him from a different angle. I haven't gone through the things that you've gone through, but that don't mean that it's not the same God. I haven't had your heartaches and your pain. I haven't had all of your joy. But that doesn't mean that it's not the same God that's serving us both. And so when it comes to God, we have to understand that we sometimes have a perspective problem. Not because God is not a normal, knowing, and not because God cannot be seen, but because God is so big, he's so vast, he's so deep, that no one single angle gives us a whole picture. Every direction we look, up, down, sideways, shows us a different facet of his infinite glory. And that's exactly what this psalm is talking about today. Let's focus for just a moment on verses 4 through 6. And in our doing, in just three verses, we want to talk about the psalmist's perspective shown to us in some draw-dropping ideas of who God really is. Yeah. He takes us to the throne room of heaven, all the way down to the ocean floor. Today, we want to go back through the lens of the telescope, the microscope, and then we want to go through the calypso. And what we will find and what we believe with is an astonishing view of who God is. Yeah. So if you would just say this with me: telescope, microscope, and calypso. Thank you so very much. It says talk about a telescope view. It says the Lord is above all nations, and his glory is above the heavens. Yeah. This is the first verse. This is the fourth verse. And this talks about the first lens that the psalmist hands us is a telescope look. So if you think about a telescope and you stick your head down and you look in through your eye, yeah, you have to recognize that the telescope can see things that are far away from you. Right. But the reality of it is, it's either going to be absorption or it's going to be reflection, yeah, of what is already out there. Yeah. When you look through the telescope, you're trying to see things that the normal eye cannot see. You're trying to see things that, as much as you would try to see with your regular eye, it just won't come to pass. Yeah. So you need something a little bit more powerful. That means you're looking at something that's probably not just too far away, but too big for you to be able to see as well. Yeah. And so when we think about this, we have to recognize that we also have to have ways of, do you feel the magnitude of how the heavens are there, but we cannot see the heavens? How the Lord is above the heavens, and his glory is there above the heavens, but we cannot see that for ourselves. So as we go through this world, we look at in 2021, they talked about James Webb Space Telescope was launched into orbit. And they talked about millions of miles from the Earth, kilometers from the Earth. And they said began to send back images that made the entire scientific community gasp. The Webb telescope allowed scientists to gaze farther into the depths of space than ever before, observing some of the oldest and the farthest galaxies and watching stars in different stages of their lives. And what they found was staggering to them. Galaxies on galaxies, nebulae blazing with bursts of new stars, clusters enlightening and stretching across the enormous human mind couldn't even hold. The universe is vast. Yes, sir. Yet together by the elegant laws that allow the galaxies and the stars to still simply exist. Yeah. And yet here we are in the thunder of verse 4. God is above all of the glories of heaven. Yeah. Can you imagine that as much as they try to see with science about what's in space, whenever you get through looking out there to what you thought you saw, the Lord is above that. Yeah. For whatever you thought was out there that you still don't know about, the Lord is above that. See, the reality of it is that the human mind can only go but so far. It's difficult sometimes to describe who God really is. And even when you do, it's still not enough because he's above that too. See, that's the power of who our God is. Whatever you think he is, he's more than that too. Whatever you felt that he is, he's more than that too. And so just imagine, as much as they work to explore space, and as much as they continue to find new things every single day, the Lord is still above that too. And so as we stare at the images and we see how small we really are in the vast image of the world, remember that the God whose glory is above the galaxies still knows your name. He still knows your name. The telescope view asks the question, how great is God? And the answer is he's greater than the greatest thing that you've ever seen. Whenever you think about the greatest thing you ever saw, he's greater than that. That's how powerful God is. I like it. Somebody in here may be intimidated by the size of a problem. The mountains in your life may look enormous. The diagnosis from the doctor may be overwhelming. The debt may even seem to be unclimbable. But the situation that looks impossible, you need to understand God still sits above that too. And so to know that if he brought you out one time, he can surely do it again. And so know that the farthest image of the world, God already simply just knows your name. He hadn't forgot about you. He had never left you alone. The mountain is not too high for him to climb. Because for him it's merely a footstool. We have to look at the church today. Look through the telescope, and we have to be willing to worship God for how big he truly is. We have to be able to take a closer look as we look through the telescope of life. But now let us turn around and look through the microscope of life. The implied answer not only is an answer that nobody and nothing in creation has ever seen that has been approached by his greatness. Nothing can be compared to him in an instant. Israel's God is without parallel. Our God is without parallel. God's covenant stands alone, and none can be likened unto him. His image is like none other. It's not just a God image. It's God in the image. Yes, for his divine contributions are incommunicable. I couldn't talk about it enough, as much as I can talk. They're unintimidatable. You can't even imagine all of the things that God can really do. But let's turn around the lens and look through the microscope. Scientists have peered through the microscope and they've looked and they've seen the beauty of the DNA. And you're talking about just one single cell, they can look at the beauty of the DNA. But if you took and stretched out the science inside of the DNA, you're talking about it can stretch out to almost 6 feet long. It's all of the majesty of God's work. He can put inside of a single cell, smaller than the period at the end of a sentence. But the information is more than 6 feet long. To understand that the intricacies of who we are and what we are made of can be inside of something so small. But yet when we try to break it down, it will turn into something so large. To understand that when you're looking at God, we have to be able to recognize that if he's able to encode us in the DNA of what we are made of, then he's encoded in the DNA of who we are made of. The elements of the body were forged by the stars. The same thing that the stars are made of. The same nitrogen, the same oxygen, the same iron is in with us too. But we have something special with us. He breathed the spirit. We have the spirit of life that lives within us. And to that gives us life. Think about that. God thought so much of you that he said, I'm not going to make you just a mere creation. I want to breathe the spirit of life into you. And I'm not talking about just one of us. Every single person in this room, every single person who has ever walked in this world. The Lord is above all those things that we've ever seen. We have to be careful to remember that God still is seated high, but God can still look low. We have to recognize that if he can develop the molecular structure, at the same time that we know that he developed the spatial structure, to know that God can be seen through the telescope as well as God can be viewed through the microscope. We have to recognize that we are something special to him. And so God stooped down for us, and he made a way for us. But I want to talk about the calypso view, a God who stoops down. Now, we want to talk about something that the psalmist began to talk about that was a bit astonishing. Just the height of God that transcends the nations and above the heavens and above all creation. Then he drops down just one verse, and he knocks us to our knees. He looks down on the heaven and the earth. Can you imagine that God is the creator, but then he's still looking down on us? He still has to stoop down to get to us. But the good news is he's willing to stoop down to get to us. Sometimes we can be in situations and we can see people in need, but we're sitting a little too high to reach down and get them. We say, I'm a little too busy. I'm too preoccupied. I have to send somebody else to go see about him. To know that even though God is all the way up there, God is still also all the way down here. And to know that him sitting on high and looking directly to see you, not just me, not just one of us, but to see all of us all together. He is so above of all the things that impact our being and this universe, bigger than the Milky Way, bigger than the superclusters of the world. We talk about the Calypso effect. And so we read about Jacques Cousteau. They talked about he converted a minesweeper and transformed it into something extraordinary. He took the ship and he turned it into what they call the Calypso. He took the nose of the ship off and he made it out of glass so that they could see it as they went down into the water. They wanted to make sure that they could have a bird's eye view of what was going on below the surface of the water, below the waves that they were simply floating on every single day. And so to understand that whether he was on the Red Sea, whether he was in the Amazon, whether he was in the Antarctic, whether he was in the Persian Gulf, the Calypso carried the dreams and discovered the world below the ocean. But here's what is captivating about Calypso. Her most famous modification, being the chamber, allowed them to look directly into the dark and the abyss of the ocean. God can still see the innermost workings of you. Even though God is sitting all the way up here, above all that you could ever see, God still can see inside of you. The deepest, darkest dreams, your hardest trials and tribulations, your joys and your pains. God can see in you, just like the Calypso could see all the marine life they had never seen before. Can you imagine that the way God is built, the way God built us, the way God is able to see, we can also see to God. But we have to be ready and prepared to know that sometimes we may be looking through a telescope when we really need to be looking through the microscope. Sometimes we need to be looking through the kaleidoscope instead of looking through the microscope. Your perspective makes all the difference about who God is and who God has been to you. He's not just hovering over creation. He is the creation. He created the creation, but then you recognize when it came down through the depths that he then needed to be a part of the creation. And so what did he do? He sent his only begotten son, wrapped him in flesh, sent him down with the breath of life that he created to be amongst us, to help take care of the wiles and the tribulations of this world. I just want y'all to know today that you have to be willing to see God from all perspectives. You got to know that he can live over you, he can live in you, and he can live through you. But you got to let him do it. You got to let him be there for you. You got to let him carry you through. You got to recognize that sometimes you're not living just for yourself. But sometimes you got to do it all by yourself. And sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper. Sometimes you got to recognize who God has been to me. So use the telescope to reflect on your life. Use the microscope to examine your life. Use the Calypso to be able to dig a little bit deeper into your life. To understand your relationship of who God has been to you. But how can you tell somebody else if you've never done the work for yourself? And so I want you to know that the same way God sees you in so many perspectives, we have to be willing to see him in the same way. And so the same God that came down through 42 generations to save your life and to save mine, we have to be willing to go back and look and see the work that he did, see the work that he has done, and see the work that he is still doing. And on top of that, the work that he will continue to do. What can you do in this world to continue to show the world how good God has been to you. The third verse is the only way. It talks about a reasonable response. When you look in the telescope, and you look in the microscope, and you take that calypso dive, you can't help but praise the Lord. You can't help but recognize who he is. So you talk about from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. So it doesn't matter if you in Tulsa or if you in Tokyo, if you in the hospital room or if you in the prison cell, the sun will shine every single day. After everything is done, after everything you've been through, God will be there for you every single time. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter where you've been. God is still carrying you through. And so I would ask you today, how many other people have you reminded that I had to look at the Lord from a different perspective at a time? It was a hard time in my life, and I wondered, had the Lord abandoned me? But then I had to take a deeper dive. Instead of looking through the telescope, I had to examine myself and look through the microscope. Then I had to turn around and look through that calypso ship and be able to dive a little bit deeper and recognize, was I doing all the things that I need to do to establish a right relationship with God? I want you to know that the Lord has done all of the work. All you got to do is give him the praise. That's what this song is about. They were praising God not just for what he had done, but what he was doing with them right then. We got to be able and willing to recognize that from the going down of the sun to the rising of the same, the Lord is still worthy to be praised. So while we here right now, and we at this morning worship service, somebody's on the other side going to bed, but the Lord is still worthy to be praised. Somebody got up this morning, and it was a hard day today. It's already been a hard day. They may have been sick. They may have lost a loved one, and they're going to go to bed, and it's going to be the hardest day they ever live. But guess what? The Lord is still worthy to be praised. It could be the greatest day of your life, the greatest experience that you ever had, and still it can't compare to the power of the Lord. He's still worthy to be praised. No matter when you wake up in the morning, when you're going through your day, you got to praise the Lord all day long. Simply because he's worthy to be praised. See, it's not always about just what he's done for you, but simply because he's there for you. He's there for you every single hour. He's there for you every single day. And so when you go to bed at night and you went through whatever they bring through you, and you pull them covers over your head, before you lay down, sit there and tell him thank you. Because he's still been there for you. Because he's worthy to be praised. The Lord sent his son down through 42 generations. He gave him to a virgin mother to bring to you. He had a preaching in his house at 12 years old. He brought him to do miracles. He saved lives. He came along. He touched those that nobody else wanted to touch. He healed people who didn't even know they needed to be healed. He delivered people who didn't even know they needed to be delivered. But because he came down, he saw you where you are. And since he saw you where you are, I want you to see the Lord right where he is. Right in your heart, right in your mind, amongst us right now. And because he went up on that cross, because the Lord died for you, because he went down for those 3 days, he got up early one Sunday morning for you and I. Because he saw you right where you were. He saw you right where you were. And so what I tell you today, if you see somebody in this world going through, remind them that if the Lord saw you where you were, he can see them too. If he can see you where you are right now, he can see them too. And if he can see you where you're going, he can still see them too. So remember always, don't be afraid to look at God from different perspectives. Don't be afraid to even question, is there another greater than God? The truth of the matter, the answers I already know. But the good news about it is when you do the research and the study, then you can tell the world that I know for myself that the Lord is real. I know for myself that the Lord will be there for me time and time again. All you got to do is trust and believe. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. He'll carry you through time and time again. The doors of the church are open. You may come by letter, candidate for baptism, or Christian experience. The Lord is there for you.